Welcome back, members of the mighty cult of Carrot. In this video, we'll be reviewing all the instances that have clearly pointed to Carrot being a mighty and capable lookout for the Straw Hat crew. Many people tend to ignore Carrot's various contributions to the crew ever since she stowed away. But she's gone above and beyond the acts of what we've seen most companions do. Companions such as Vivi, who at most negotiated with the people who were ready to fire upon the Straw Hats when they arrived in Drum Kingdom. So Vivi has a good head on her shoulders, but that shows that she had good leadership. And when it came to the likes of Law, Kinemon, and even Momonosuke journeying with them, they never contributed to the crew like Carrot has. Now, the history of the lookout for the Straw Hat crew actually has gone back around almost 15 years at this point. Close to, anyway. And that really started to come about after the addition of Brook. Now, I was around for most of this. This was during a point that I had been reading the manga solidly for a good while at this point. I would peruse the forums, I would hear the chatter, and the search for the next Straw Hat crew member has been a long-standing thing. It's nothing new to the community, specifically because Luffy outright said he wanted about 10 members, so people were anxiously looking forward to who the last two members would be. Eventually we found that number 9 or 10, however you want to count it, would be Jinbei. But one of the first people we were introduced to was Margaret. There was speculation left, right, and center about why Margaret would be the next Straw Hat, specifically as the lookout. A long-range sniper, she has hockey abilities, she seems tough and capable, and she really went to bat for Luffy. All good reasoning, but unfortunately, her importance in regards to the arc became overshadowed by Boa Hancock once her little tete-a-tete with Luffy got underway. Cut to the return to Sabaody, and people had long since wanted Perona to be a member of the Straw Hats, but I heard rumblings that a few people thought that Perona would make a good Straw Hat because of the fact of her abilities, her ghostly form, her ability to just drift off, spy on certain things, she could see things and report back to the crew. Another great case for a lookout, but ultimately Perona had her own thing going on, and she was desperate to find Gecko Moria. Hopefully, when she does find him, it's not in as rough a shape as we're expecting. Another one who had rumblings before the time skip was Kami, and even after the time skip, a lot of people thought that maybe Kami, or even some with Shirahoshi as well, but a little back and forth on that, mostly that a mermaid member of the crew would make a good amount of sense because a lookout who's able to dive into the ocean and observe various different things, that would make a good amount of sense. But with the addition of Jinbei, we already have someone who's not just able to swim very proficiently, but has a supreme control over water. So it really does make it so that he fills that role very well. Now, the one character who really got a lot of push from a lot of people very early on was Harpy Monet. And even I have to admit, I was intrigued by her design, her abilities, all that good stuff. It was really making it seem like something was going to happen with this character in a significant manner. She was able to clash with Zoro, if only for a little bit, and having another Devil Fruit user on the crew would be only a plus. And even people would cite that she had this love of astrology that was put in one of the SBSs by Oda as proof that Monet would be the next lookout. She's always looking out to the stars. That was the justification people made. It became harder and harder to justify that as she continued to fight against the Straw Hats and was shown to be a very sadistic character, attacked Ashigi, and ultimately ended up being literally stabbed through the heart. It's kinda hard to shake that one off. So, as much as I really did love her character design, the character went poof. Although many still to this day speculate as to where Monet's devil fruit might have gone, and that it might go to one of the next members of the Straw Hat crew. The theory of it appearing in Nami's orange grove or whatever that she has on the Sunny still fly around the internet to this day. Next we had Viola, and when you think about it, it made a good amount of sense. The speculation that she would be a lookout. Eye-based abilities, the ability to see in a multitude of different spectrums, great observation skills, a fairly skilled enough fighter. Even people thinking that she might end up being in a relationship with Sanji, considering how he managed to get through to her kinder nature and all that good stuff. It wasn't an unreasonable train of thought. It's just that ultimately Viola, it was very solid that she would remain in Dressrosa, especially after a revelation that she was in fact a princess. And yet another candidate for lookout was in fact Pudding. When Pudding was first, well, not first, that first one was during Fishman Island, but properly introduced to us, we saw her helping out the Straw Hats. A lot of people had already put two and two together to make three eyes specifically, that she was the three-eyed girl we had seen back when Big Mom was first fully introduced to us to a certain degree. And with her initial help towards the Straw Hats, a lot of people assumed that maybe her third eye had a special ability, specifically enhanced vision or something along those lines. Ultimately, we would find that she was kind of playing everyone with her kinder demeanor, but that was unfortunately not the case. She had a devil fruit that wasn't very suited towards a lookout, and given her position within Whole Cake Island, couldn't really see her giving that up for the most part. Although her nicer turn was fun to see. But these examples really do show that the thought of a lookout has been permeating throughout the series. Characters with vision-based abilities or enhanced eyesight or passions that involve observation. They all come out of the woodwork left, right, and center. So people's thought that maybe we might see a lookout made a lot of sense. Although it was easy to brush that off as a role that might go to Usopp, as he frequently had moments that involved him being able to spot things from a bit of a distance. Hell, he even developed Haki because of that. But in the same vein as the thought, why do we need a helmsman when we have Frankie, we still ended up with Jinbei, opening that door wide open for the possibility of a lookout. And who should come through that door? Well, how do we first see Carrot? It's her observing when the rest of the Straw Hats make their way to Zoe. And whereas at first it looks as though she's looking through binoculars, later on we see with incredible jumping ability, she jumps as high as she possibly can, and from a great distance, she can see the disturbance going on in the Whale Forest. Yes, it's a fairly big explosive clash, but it shows that Oda is immediately trying to sell her skills and ability. From clashing with Zoro to impressing several of the Straw Hats with her great jumping ability, Oda was trying to sell us on something about Carrot. But it's not just Carrot, we also see that with Pedro. Wouldn't you think that if Nekomamushi had this great eyesight, with him being one of the strongest of the people on Zoe, even being one of the 9 red scabbards, wouldn't his eyesight be just as incredible as Pedro? Yes, he's fairly weakened, but why Pedro specifically would get this moment of being a bit of a lookout, informing Lord Nekomamushi about what is going on, about the arriving samurai. Not just that, Once Carrot has stowed away aboard the Sunny, and Pedro has gone along in order to help our heroes retrieve Sanji, we start to see Pedro basically taking up residence at the highest point of the Sunny. Now, that's Pedro's thing for the most part, constantly standing at the highest point he possibly can. It's played to a bit of comedic effect, even in Lord Nekomamushi's place of rest for when he was injured, you see Pedro standing on bedposts and stuff like that just to be up high for some kind of reason. It's Pedro's shtick, because otherwise he's just an overly serious guy. But you see Pedro getting the morning news from the news coup and reading about the various information in the headlines and all that good stuff. Meanwhile, Carrot, when the Germa 66 first appeared to Luffy and the others, after Luffy had gotten himself deeply poisoned, when Reiju comes over to see what's going on, who should immediately react in a way that is defensive and ready to attack the intruder? It's Carrot. She's ready to go on the attack to defend those who are around, showing her keen intellect and readiness to combat any situation that might cause harm to the crew. Hell, even when they reach Whole Cake, Totland specifically, and see the message drawn by Peckham's, she's once again alert and thinking of intruders, dangers to the crew, keeping a keen observation as to what might be going on. Meanwhile, as the crew continues to journey through Totland, who's keeping a lookout for land? It's Pedro, trying his best to show that he is able to contribute to this journey. We never really see that with a lot of companion characters. Vivi never acted as a lookout, not in a significant or constant way. Momonosuke, no. Kinemon, no. Law, no. He's not a part of this crew, so he wouldn't be contributing or even shouting out orders. That's not what he's about. But Pedro, he immediately took to this role in the crew. And who should also want to contribute to the crew as well, as a bit of a subordinate or junior member? It's Carrot. She wants to contribute as well, because she's Pedro's student. And she wants to make her master proud by not just reacting to any situation. She wants to be the first to see whatever goes on, whatever should happen. And this is something that you see progress over the course of the Whole Cake Island arc. Why would Oda waste so much page time, panel time, to these little brief interactions? Just flavor text? Little insignificant moments? That's very much not like Oda. He always is leading up to something. And one of the first moments of the passing of the torch, more or less, Carrot taking something over for Pedro, lookout duty. And she immediately takes to it, looking out, observing anything that she can see, questioning, the sea is grape color. They get attacked by a giant centipede. She's ready to go into pitch combat, right along with Luffy, Brook, Pedro. They're ready to defend the Sunny. Again, you didn't see that much with other companions, not to this degree. And while most of their time spent in Totland and Whole Cake Island, she's mostly teamed up with Chopper and helping out wherever she can. Again, when they're trying to escape after the failed assassination attempt against Big Mom, who's constantly making observation with her keen eyesight, it's Carrot. That river that we passed by when we first came into the Seducing Wood, and that bridge that was eaten by the alligator. She's immediately letting everyone know what she sees up ahead. You even get to see that Carrot and Pedro react in the same way. defending against oncoming attackers, anyone who would do harm to the crew, to the point where Jinbei and Luffy have to make sure that they don't split off and get into individual fights, showing that Pedro and Carrot are very similar in regards to certain aspects of their personality. That's why with Pedro's death, a lot of what would normally be split between Carrot and Pedro is now hoisted all upon Carrot. And what was one of the last things she asked Pedro to allow her to do? Be the lookout. What does she immediately get to after mourning the loss of Pedro for all too brief a moment? She gets to lookout duty, seeing that Big Mom is strolling across the water trying to get through to them, observing that it's not water that she's walking across, it's some form of candy from Perospero. Again, Oda could have any other character making these observations. Why not Chopper? Why not Brook? Anyone else could be doing this, but it's given specifically to Carrot. Carrot is frequently seen up in the crow's nest, making observations, calling out what she sees, calling out to the rest of the crew, keeping them appraised of the situation. And even when it gets to a point where they need to be on high alert, she's sharing that with Chopper, letting everyone know that, hey, it's smooth sailing. We've managed to escape from a shaky situation. Carrot is dedicated to this role of lookout, dedicated to being high atop the Sunny, making as many observations as she can, looking for any opportunity to help out the crew. And it happens time and time again. After they initially manage to escape from Big Mom, have a bit of a reprieve, and then end up in the thick of it once again, who's keeping an eye out? It's specifically Carrot. Chopper has gone to aid in other ways, but Carrot has stuck as the lookout, especially when they get cornered by all these tart ships. And the most defining moment for Carrot, the one that's even on one of the volume covers, given a great emphasis, her moment of transforming, starts with her calling down from the crow's nest, transforming atop the crow's nest. Hell, there's a reason we have a figurine of Carrot standing atop the crow's nest in her Sulong form. This area has become almost intrinsic to Carrot's character. And doesn't it make sense that the most observant of what is potentially all the Straw Hats would want to be able to go in and mitigate as much danger for the crew as possible? Her enhanced agility, she's already skilled when it comes to agility, but in her Sulong form, she's fantastic at it. And also consider this, many of the Straw Hats have all had moments of them taking out fodder, showing out a little bit of skill. Not every Straw Hat in each arc actually takes on some overly important enemy. Hell, that's why there's so much clamoring for Robin to have gotten her fight against Black Maria. She usually takes out fodder. Hell, one of the first moments of combat we see Luffy do when he's aboard Vita's ship, take out the fodder. Was one of the first things Zoro does when he's freed from the post? Blocks the fodder. What does Nami do when Luffy is about to be blasted by one of the buggy balls? She knocks out some fodder. Shows her skill. Usopp, he took down some of Kaya's bodyguards in order to try to get her out of harm's way. That was the way of showing Usopp had some skill. Sanji, he takes out some almost no-name Marine. I don't want to call full body a full-on no-name, but he just takes on one Marine. That's it. Chopper and his fight against some of Wapple's soldiers, easily handling them all. Robin, taking out several Marines and Tashigi with ease, as well as Pell. Brook and his ability to just take out all of these zombies. Hell, he takes out that spider monkey when he first appears. Even Jinbei, his first real bit of combat we first see him have is just taking out some impel down guards. You see it left, right, and center. The significant moments for these potential Straw Hats all came when they were just taking out some no-name thugs. Except for Frankie. His first real moment of introduction was taking on Luffy. Although, he kind of showed off a little bit by, I guess, taking out Usopp if you want to go down that route. But showing off Carrot's wit, tenacity, and how clever she could be in a desperate situation. I mean, going for their steering wheels instead of trying to take out all these people, it makes a lot of sense. Fooling Daifuku into destroying some of the Tart ships? That's very sneaky rabbit indeed. And even after her Sulong form has dissipated and she's woken up after Big Mom's attack, she immediately goes back to keeping an eye out, being concerned about Luffy, being concerned about Sanji, feeling bad that she wasn't up and about and helping out, even though she had already done something fairly strenuous. And when Sanji has managed to get Luffy after his battle with Katakuri, who's the first person to spot them? Carrot. But when the crew is cornered once again, who's calling from the crow's nest? It's Carrot. And even after they've escaped, one of the first things we saw Pedro doing aboard the ship, grabbing a newspaper, reading the information, giving it to the crew. What do we see Carrot doing after the events of Whole Cake Island? She's got the paper and giving the information to everybody else. She's fully taken on the duties of Pedro and the duties of a lookout. And even though she had pretty much no real moments in Wano, aside from listening to the story of Odin with the rest of the Straw Hats who hadn't heard the story, I think that's significant as well. Like, come on. Including Carrot in that moment, that feels very significant. Her observing the clash between Ashura Doji and Inuarashi, and her choice to go off with Nami and Shinobu in order to try to find Momonosuke. And despite the fact that Carrot hadn't really been utilized too much in Wano, here on Onigashima, who's making observations about where Sanji ran off to? It's Carrot. And who makes an observation of spotting Perospero as he makes his way into Onigashima? It's Carrot. Time and time and time again, it's Carrot. Making observations, spotting things that others haven't, being on the lookout for as many potential dangers as she possibly can. Carrot this entire time has been in subtle ways selling herself to the Straw Hats, showing how useful she can be. And while so many people seem to be going gaga over Yamato, who is a fine character, they note Yamato and his strength rather than what he could solidly contribute to the crew. People say log keeper, and yet we've never seen Yamato write one word of his experiences or what's been going on. At most, Yamato has kept Odin's logbook. That's it. Kept a book. That's all we've seen Yamato do. Whereas Carrot has time and time and time again shown that she wants to contribute in ways that are actually practical to the crew. And let's be honest, the only time Luffy has actually sought out someone for their strength was Zoro. Nami was needed because she had navigation skills and knew the weather. Usopp because he could do what Zoro could and attack enemies from a long range, something that Zoro has on multiple occasions struggled with, from his time on Skypiea fighting an opponent who was able to jump through the sky at high velocities, or more recently with his battle against Pika, where he literally had to be thrown in order to get closer to the enemy. Sanji was needed because he's a cook. Chopper Chopper because he's a doctor. Robin was invited aboard because she had nowhere else to go, but her greatest use comes from the fact that she has such a wealth of information. Frankie, because he built the Sunny and can maintain it and make sure it's well kept. Brooke, because Luffy's been looking for a musician since damn near the start of the series. And Jinbei, I mean, you could argue because he's strong, but in a lot of ways it was because Jinbei was kind and helped out Luffy when he really didn't have to. And heck, to make strength such a big selling point is to devalue what Usopp was going through in Water 7 when he felt he was useless to the crew because he wasn't strong enough. Or at least that's the way he felt, but that wasn't the only reason he was brought onto the crew, because they thought he would be strong, but he thought he would be a liability to them at some point. And even when it came to Sanji and the events of Whole Cake Island, isn't saying that the Straw Hats only need someone strong, devaluing the fact that Sanji was deliberately supposed to be one of the Vinsmoke siblings to not have the enhanced power? Yes, Sanji is incredibly strong in the grand scheme of things, one of the strongest Straw Hat. But when Judge cried out that Sanji wasn't that strong and all he was good for was cooking, Luffy was glad at that. He felt that that was one of Sanji's best strengths. The Straw Hat crew is not one that is specifically about strength. And I feel like a lot of fans have missed that point that Oda has tried to make on multiple occasions. Yes, they're strong and capable when they need to be, but that comes when they're defending the people that they care about. And Oda's tried his best to show that there's more to strength than just fighting. But Carrot is a strong combatant as well. She has fighting capabilities. That's why when Carrot first stowed away and Luffy asked if she was capable, we had those moments where she was shown that she could be as fierce as she needs to be. Oda has been trying to sell Carrot to us ever since she first came aboard the Sunny. And people seem to have just overlooked her because she's not as strong as Yamato. And while that may be true, Carrot has so much to offer to the Straw Hats outside of that, and she's already been exhibiting that and contributing to that. That's why I still believe it'll be Carrot to be the next Straw Hat, because honestly, she's already been one. And to the people who still don't think so, I think you should try being a little bit more observant. I also want to thank you so much for sitting through this video and my various different observations. It took a while to comb through every inch of Carrot's appearances throughout the One Piece manga, but I've scoped out every moment for Carrot. I got another video in the works by the time you're seeing this one about Carrot and her relation to Pedro. I'm hoping to have that out within the following week, or at the very least by next week. So I hope you'll subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when that comes out. In regards to this video, I hope you enjoyed it. Please tell me your thoughts and feelings towards it in the comment section below. What do you think about all the various different examples that I've shown off? I feel like it's just such a strong case for Carrot, because Oda just really doesn't waste time on characters in this fashion to have them actually doing something aboard the Sunny and not follow through on it. He never does this kind of stuff. And for him to just completely ignore it and have Carrot shuffle on back to Zou or just join a fleet crew, it seems off. It would feel weird to me with everything I've seen in the story up until now. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe, hit the bell icon for more Carrot content. Remember the hashtags Cult of Carrot or Carrot Cult, Carrot for Nakama, Carrot for Straw Hat, as we champion on our beloved bunny girl. And remember to give a follow to the Twitter account that makes all of this Carrot content possible. That's Carrot for Nakama. A lot of my inspiration came from this person, and you definitely need to check out their stuff. Their love for Carrot is next level, and their arguments for Carrot are something you need to see to believe. But until next time, I will see you wonderful followers of the Cult of Carrot in the next video. Till then, bye bye.